Well, good morning, everybody. This is Gulf Harbour Radio. We've got a little bit of a pink sky. Not too much of one, but anyway, good morning, everybody. It is a dry day here at Gulf Harbour Radio, just north of Auckland. Patricia and David at ZMH 286. Pretty nippy again, 12 degrees here. Ooh, 1 knot from the southwest, so we're not getting much wind down here. 1016.2. Not too many reports in this morning. We have Whistler up there at Wallace. Boy, it sounds a good place. The wind up there is a bit stronger, 10 to 15 knots east-southeast with gusts to 20. 100% cloud cover with rain. Oh, I better look over David's shoulders. Oh, it doesn't look all that.
There's a trough sitting over
trough sitting over them. A bar of 1009.7, but 26 degrees. Well, that's down a bit, isn't it? And he was commenting before that the temperatures are down generally for you folk, not to 12 degrees, but at least a little bit of relief from anything too hot. We have been looking for Tuaki on their way north from Australia, but haven't had anything from them so far. Is there anybody else? It's kind of noisy here today. I don't know why. Well, what I'll do is I'll just give a bit of news and then we'll try again in about 10 or 15 minutes. There were about 60 pilot whales beached themselves, unfortunately, in Iceland. Mass strandings, as you know, are pretty common with pilot whales, as these were, because they tend not to abandon their sick and distressed members, but they could have had some decompression sickness, they reckon, or the bends, as they would call it. Can't quite imagine a whale with the bends, but anyway. Or they could have had some sonar distraction or distress. Round about here, in the Hauraki Gulf, on the whale issue, there have been sightings of pygmy blue whales, which is actually quite unusual. These things are absolutely monstrous. I think they're the second largest whales in the world. They grow to about up to 30 meters, so they're not hard to miss. And they have been around, and of course it's been quite calm, so they've been quite spectacular for the whale watching people to look at. Why you would go whale watching at this frigid time of the year, I don't know, but I guess people do if they are interested in whales. Sticking with New Zealand for a while, an Air New Zealand flight yesterday from Christchurch to Dunedin had to return and land at Christchurch, where the passengers were unceremoniously dropped on the tarmac because of smoke in the cockpit. So last week they had a Bombardier, that's a AQ300 for those that know their aircraft. A flight had to shut down one engine. Well, they've only got two after a loud bang followed by smoke. So it's getting quite sporty going by air these days. Going to Hong Kong, there were massive demonstrations over the weekend, just over 400,000 people still demonstrating in Hong Kong. Boy, when they start demonstrating, they really get into it. But it's had a bit of a nasty turn because yesterday there were some people, not demonstrators. They appeared to be the gangs, or the triads as they called them, attacked the demonstrators at a train station and did a fair bit of damage to people. About 35 people in hospital, one rather seriously. But yeah, things are getting fairly sporty there. It's not really a place that you would want to go visit at the moment. Actually, there were demonstrations on a much smaller scale in Moscow. They're having elections for the legislature in Moscow City at the moment. Well, they're coming up, and evidently about 30 opposition-minded candidates were left off the ballots. They decided that people that weren't supporting Putin would not be given a choice to run, and so there were a few demonstrations on that one. There are about 45 seats in this legislature, and about 30 were barred from being there. There were about 21,000 people demonstrating, which was actually quite brave thing to do in Moscow. Moving over to the west a little bit, in Europe, the UK, they are finally going to be choosing their new Prime Minister in a couple of days, actually Thursday I think it was, which we'll all be thankful for. It does appear that Boris Johnson will get there, but the Scots are very unhappy about that. They maintain it's going to drive a wedge between England and Scotland. They're not very keen on Boris, but boy, do they need an active Prime Minister at the moment. The UK is under increasing pressure to join the US in planning a maritime protection force in the Gulf. They've just let this slip. Responsibility for this at the moment actually falls with the British Foreign Secretary, Jeremy Hunt. But he, of course, is in a
weenie.
Well, he's in the hunt for being the Prime Minister. Not that he's got much chance by the look of what the newspapers are saying, but and Theresa May is just doing basically nothing. So it's going to be a bit of a problem. Certainly the Iranians are making good use of it. They have also, by the way, in Iran arrested 17 people. They maintain they're CIA spies, and these people now face the death penalty. So things are really hotting up in Iran. I feel sorry for the normal people there, but the Moors are definitely flexing their power at the moment because they know that they can get away with it. President Trump yesterday met, or last night our time, met with Imran Khan. He is the Prime Minister of Pakistan, trying to mend relationships there, despite the very valid claim, actually, that Mr. Trump made that Pakistan has not done enough to fight the extremists. The extremists just seem to hop over the border to Pakistan and then they're protected. But anyway, the main thrust of the discussions evidently was Kashmir, and Mr. Trump volunteered again to mediate between India and Pakistan over this area. I don't think the Indians are very encouraging on wanting anybody to help out, but that is what has been suggested. Okay, what else have we got here? New gun control, actually, proposals in New Zealand. As you know, the government acted very quickly to ban the military-style sort of weapons, but they have now put out proposals to cover absolutely every gun, and we are talking just the small 22 rifles that every kid in the country gets when they're 13 or 14, right through to all the pistols and other guns that are available. What has been proposed is that they want to have all of these registered. Now, Canada tried this a few years ago. They budgeted $2 million and dropped the whole proposal when it had reached $1 billion. Just having a bit of water here. They reckon it will cost us a couple of million. In fact, it's not all that difficult to do for the pistols because we already have had to register all these and they come and inspect them every now and again. But the new proposals are that absolutely every gun will be registered, that you will have to... Sorry, I went to the doctor the other day and managed to pick up a bug from the doctor who then went away sick.
Aside from your broken ankle.
Apart from my broken ankle. All right, where were we? Yes, well, the proposals are that you will have to have a license to get ammo. And whilst this might be a simple process for us here in cities, can you imagine that you're on Waiheke Island or up in the back blocks of the countryside somewhere? It's not exactly easy to get ammunition. So you will now have to front up with your gun license to get ammunition. If you are a visitor to New Zealand, you will not be allowed to buy a gun to go hunting. So all of this is a proposal at the moment, and it is going to obviously have quite a lot of controversy. And we do have elections coming up next year, so I imagine it is going to be quite an issue. There is only one party, the ACT Party, that is prepared to stand up for the rights of most of us who are law-abiding citizens. Because the problem with this proposal is that law-abiding citizens will just have a lot of hassle, and the non-law-abiding citizens will just carry on as before. Oh, the other thing was that we would have to have everything renewed every 5 years, whereas at the moment it's every 10 years. Okay, that's only of interest to the folk from New Zealand, but if you have your hunting rifle in storage, you will need to be aware of this when you come back again. All right, we have a few reports. Oh, thank you, Jeff. Good reception at Muscat Cove. Well, that's unusual. Muscat Cove, 21 degrees, 1011.5. Southeast and no rain. 10 knots from the southeast. No rain, no cloud. Well, that's pretty good. And Santo, no wind, 20% cloud. Well, that's a bit of an improvement up there, but not a very good signal. And in Suva, let's go to the other side of Fiji, 80% cloud. A huge fire in Walu Bay, where all the ferries are, yesterday, and a warehouse went up in smoke. Thank you for that, Michelle. All right, is there any sign of Tuaki? Tuaki, Goldfather Radio. Well, we used to be able to hear him. Don't know what's happened with his radio. Is there anybody else with a report? Please call. Well, there is somebody there. Go ahead, and I might be able to get a relay. Go ahead. Over. There's something on. I'm sorry. I think that's Tuaki because it's 160. Jeez, it's terrible. It's one. Yeah, I've got you, and I've got a bit of Ron too. So what I'm going to do is pass the radio to David. He doesn't have much weather this morning, and then I'll pick you up afterwards. I'm going to go for a hop through the house and see whether I can find the cause of this noise that I've got here. It sounds a little bit
You're
local.
not going to walk around.
David says I'm not going to walk around, but he won't be able to stop me. So I will get back to you both at the end of the weather. Here's David.
All right, good morning, everyone. And not a big change from yesterday. Sounds like a broken record. The near stationary high that we've been talking about, east of the South Island, it's out there at about 170 west. And the central pressure, 1040. It's a big one. 1040 millibar. Now, due north of this high is our fairly severe now subtropical depression. You'll remember the warnings that we give when you have a big high, and again, the northwest corner is typically where we see these problems. It's there, the central pressure 981 millibar, 981, and it's spinning around and it's creating some very, very bad conditions. The center of it, that is basically, if you were trying to pinpoint where the middle, I suppose, of this little spinning monster is, it's near 32 south and 165 east. You can try to pinpoint it on satellite imagery on the loop, and that's pretty much what I do when I try to give you a location. Now, there is a horrendous squash zone lying between the two, the high and this low. We've got gale to storm force winds, 50 knots or more, with 7 to 8 meter seas. These are huge, and they're pushing toward New Zealand and the cruising route to the north. Although they're not going to be so high as you continue on, the boats that have left New Zealand are pushing their way northward, mostly toward Tonga. And I would imagine they're only going to see about 4 meters, only 4 meters. That's plenty big enough for those that are on the run line to Tonga. Now, the Oz High on the other side here is still ridging to the northeast toward Fiji. And the pressure gradient, I would call it moderate at this point. So we're looking at 15 to 20 knots basically around the cruising route areas. South-southwest, that would be the direction for the most part. And that's right around 30 south. I just sort of picked a spot. A bit more of a gradient if you're going to New Caledonia. You get closer to New Cal and the winds start to pick up a bit. And that same thing happens if you're going to Tonga Tapu. The gradient starts to close up quite a bit there. Now, up in the tropics, the hot pool area, that's the Solomons area, that trough, we'll call it the Solomons Trough, it remains pretty active. And now, though, it runs toward Wallis and Samoa. It goes on then to the southern Cooks, takes a little bit of a dive. Yet, another trough affects the northern Cooks. And looking at satellite imagery, cloud is pretty widespread over the tropics in general. And it spreads, even though the trough is further north, it spreads to Fiji and Tonga, although the main effect of the trough is not over those two countries. Now, up in Wallis, our trough, as we've heard, is bringing showers, and that's the forecast as well. Winds 10 to 15 knots by length east-southeast, I'd say. Tomorrow, a little bit lighter, maybe 10 knots in that range. Showers as well. Actually, showers Wednesday through Friday morning. Friday afternoon, it looks like it eases off quite a bit in terms of rain activity. But it's going to be wet for a few days. The winds, the actual winds this morning at Haihaifo, south-southeast 6 to 15 knots. And they had earlier rain reported. Down to Tonga now, as I mentioned, cloud does extend over the group due to that trough to the north. So today expect fine periods mixing it up with cloudy periods. And amongst that, a chance of scattered to isolated showers. And thanks to the pressure gradient, Tonga Met has issued a strong wind warning for Tonga Tapu, plus a heavy damaging swell warning for that area as well. Winds, they're calling it south to southwest, 15 to 20, rising 25 knots, then decreasing to 10 to 15 later on today, later this afternoon. The swell, though, the southwest swell, coming in at 3 to 4 meters. Now, for Vavau and Hapais, not as windy, south to southwest, 15 to 20, easing 10 to 15 a little bit later in the day. and the southwest swell comes down a little bit as it gets further north, 2 to 3 meters. And early conditions for you, Vaval, scattered cloud, barometer 1011, temperature. Oh, this is unbelievable. The temperature that I've got at the airport there, 14C. That's 1-4. That's as low as I have seen it in a long time. 14C. Wow, that's getting down there. The Hapais reported calm. Quite a bit of towering cumulus there. Broken cloud as well, and 1010 on the barometer. And down there in Tongatapu, the wind really hasn't gotten up yet. Southwest 7, scattered to broken, and 1011 on the barometer. Light air forecast for tomorrow and Thursday, south-southeast in the 10 knot range. And the winds are going to become fresh by the weekend. So enjoy a few days of fairly light air for Tonga. Now to Fiji now, where southerly winds pretty much prevail over the group, about 15 to 20 knots. Expect cloud from that nearby trough that we talked about. And even there, watch out for cool temperatures at night. There are a few spots that have reported 17C. So chilly for sure. Now the radar loop shows very few showers. I'm picking them up eastern Vanua Levu, the Nassori area. Seems to be quite a bit of activity there on a consistent basis around Nassori. That's about all I see looking at the radar. Well, there's a few pop-ups near Lambasa. By the way, those of you that are getting radar, when you have the internet there, that area north of Lambasa, sometimes it looks rather strange. You see really these big splotches of return, and it looks like it's constant big showers and rain. There's something wrong up there. They're having an issue with their radar. That is not shower activity. Not sure that they even know what it is, but they have reported it a few times. And I see it on a fairly consistent basis. So most of the time I don't even mention it to you, but if you happen to get it, that's pretty much what happens there. Okay, here's some early conditions. We actually have gotten somebody to wake up and give us a few METAR reports. Undu Point, southeast 13, barometer 1011. And Nabawalu, southeast 10, and barometer 1010. Yasawas, northern Yasawas, southeast 10 and 1011. Vanua Balavu, south of 7 and 1015 barometer. Nandi, southeast 6, 1012, and Nassori, northwest 4. Not much air there, 1013. And Bunisi, east southeast 4, 1013, and Matuku, down there in the south, southeast 2, 1012, and Ono, southeast 7, and 1013 on the barometer. So the winds Wednesday, tomorrow south to southeast about 10 to 15, a little higher in the afternoon, I would say. Thursday we'll be looking at southeast 15 to 20. I would say closer to 20 knots in the top half of the group. And over to Vanuatu, it looks like a mix of fine scattered cloud. Winds by lunch mostly southeast in the 15 knot range, a little bit lighter from Tanna down to Onisham. About the same thing tomorrow, but closer to 20 knots in the far north. Now some early actuals for you. Sola reported calm, broken 1011. Santo southeast 8, scattered to broken 1012. Afate northeast 2, scattered to broken there 1013. 16C in Afate. That's pretty chilly. Tanna, calm, overcast 1013 on the barb. Onisham, calm, scattered 1014. And the temperature is 17 there as well. Vanuatu does get cold in the winter, and that sure does show it. Break out the electric socks if you got them. New Caledonia, broken skies this morning on imagery. Real mix of stratus and stratocube from what I could see. By lunch in our lagoon area, I would say winds south-southeast in the 10 knot range. There could be some showers in this. Tomorrow, south-southeast to southeast, 10 to 15, and also a chance of showers. And actual observations of the outer reef this morning, south 5 to 10, temperature 17 C, Ile de Pan southeast 5 to 10, temperature 16, 17 C, and Noumea southwest at 8 knots, and the temperature was 16 C. So that's it, folks. Questions, comments, come now. If you can get through, good luck. And here's the chief. Did you find any problems out there?
No, that must be our neighbours.
Okay.
No, I'd say we've got a very decrepit old batch house next door, and I would suspect that the heaters are blasting because there's absolutely nothing on here. A few reports have come in, actually. North Star are on their way from Taveuni to Savu Savu with a lovely trade wind. Southeast 12 to 13. 1 to 1.5 metres south swell, 15% cloud cover, 1013. Wow, nice balmy beam reach for them. Down in Tanna, Kuhela is still in Tanna, 6 knots from the southeast, 50% cloud cover, 1013.5. And I'm going to go and find out where Tuaki is at the moment. But before that, is there anybody with any question that David didn't cover? Oh, and I've got an email in from you. Thank you, Ron. That was pretty quick. Thanks, Ron and Cheryl. They are at Tuaki, 12 degrees. There's 4 on board. 12 degrees, 20, and 151. Well, I got that wrong because I heard 160. 15103 east. Course over ground, 028 at 7.6 speed over the ground. Well, that will save that. Thank you very much. All right, is there... I'm just chuckling at the Tuaki spelling here. I won't tell you what it is. Anybody else? Is there any relays from anybody else, or for anybody else, should I say? No, that's about it. I've got a lovely long email here from Aridonna. You will know that they are in their motorhome. They're actually up in Norway, where they're not very impressed with the Norwegian summer, I can tell you that. It sounds pretty cold up there, but I suppose it is summer because it's warmer than winter, if you can use that as a criterion. This is the last year that they're going to be doing their walkabout up there, or the drive about in Europe. They're going to be selling Lily, the Land Cruiser, and so they will be back cruising in the Southwest Pacific next year. But anyway, that's the news from them. Haven't heard from, I must give Pele and Ulla a email too. They're back home in Sweden at the moment. Is there, that's about it for any news. And I did chuckle with the report from Wallace, just like here sometimes, except we don't get barking dogs at night. They've had a nice new anchorage at Bay de Gahi, which was very lovely and protected, except for the fact that the dogs barked all night. Yeah.
Remember the roosters?
Oh, the roosters, yes. The roosters were the ones that got us in various French anchorages. Okay, but dogs I think I would not put up with. Roosters maybe. But,
all night, that one.
Yeah, well, the roosters did have a fairly interesting sex life because they did seem to go all night. Okay, thanks everybody. We will be back again tomorrow. Have a good day. Bye. Flying Fish said he couldn't hear us at Cooktown, so that's why they couldn't hear anything from Tony.